So in today's show, we are going to be looking at the journey of a day trader here on TakeStock Live as well. And I thought, what better way to do it than actually talk to somebody who's been doing? I mean, I've been day trading for a very long time myself. But it's been in all the news. And I thought, well, rather than just hear my side of it, let's hear somebody else who's been doing it and have a bit of a discussion about this too. It's been a lot in the news. I've been reading a ton of stories that I'd like to actually share with you today, talking a little bit about there. And we've actually got a former student of mine, somebody who I work with who's very active in the trading community, joining us live from the UK, Graham Spruce, a little bit later on. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes as well. And we're going to be getting really into the subject of, okay, what is day trading? What is the attraction to it? And more importantly, what does it take to be successful at it? I mean, a lot of you looking at the show right now maybe stumbled upon StockAbility and TakeStock Live because you've got a general interest in the markets, and buy and hold investing. All these different things are all one way of doing it, but there's a very attractive lull to day trading too as well. And I'd love to explore that on the show as we go into this today as well. So great, again, like I say, to this. But before we do that, and before we bring Graham onto the show, I'd love to talk a little bit about, obviously, what's going on in the market. So today on the main headlines, what have we got on the main headlines today? Let's just take a look and see where we are at and what is kind of dominating the press. I always say on this as well, what are the first things that really the market participants are looking at? Today, as we speak, Dow Jones had a day yesterday, bit of a sell-off yesterday. We actually had a big drop off of the record highs yesterday. Dow Jones right now down 67 points. Looking at my live feed on here. S&P 500 just down 2 points on the day. Nasdaq's bouncing back strong though. QQQ's up 39 handles, 39 points right now as well. Russell sitting at just under 8 points up for the day as well. Gold $2 up. Crude $1.71 down, and Treasury's pretty much holding at their closing price of yesterday. So, a little bit of a bounce back in the market today. I think that sell-off in the market definitely spooked a few people, but literally opened near the lows and held those lows so far as well. A lot of investors going to be watching Thursday's FDA meeting on Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. As we know, we had the very first COVID-19 vaccine given to a 91-year-old lady in the UK this week, a historic moment. Reports coming in of some allergic reactions on that. That's actually happening on here. A few people kind of concerned about the allergic reactions that have been coming on that. But again, I suppose that's with anything, we're going to see that happen. It's going to be the case that people are going to kind of probably have their, not everyone's built for the vaccine in that respect. Again, I think the more important thing is the long-term impact it's going to have on quelling the pandemic and stopping it in its tracks as well. So again, not out here in the US, but hopeful that that's going to happen on here. The supply chain has been in question. As demand for that's going to be really big as well. So again, Pfizer, BioNTech coronavirus with the FDA today as well. Also, COVID-19 stimulus talks dominating the news headlines here in the US, as basically the politicians at hand are all trying to work out, okay, what is the next package? And again, I hear that globally as well, other stimulus packages are on the cards as we still are looking at the fallout of the COVID-19 epidemic that started, can you believe it, back in March of this year as well. Airbnb stock is set to debut a day after DoorDash's sizzling IPO yesterday. DoorDash did its IPO yesterday as well. Initial public offerings on Airbnb at $68 per share. I'm going to tell you this right now, a little bit of advice to anybody here. Be very, very, very careful about jumping into a stock on its IPO, especially in its first month as well. I always like to sit back. People say to me, Airbnb, DoorDash, Uber happened as well. What do you recommend on that? I sit on my hands for that first 30 days of any company's IPO, the initial public offering, when a company goes live, and wait and see what develops. I want to see the major market players. Where are they coming in? Where are they buying? Where are they selling? There's no rush. If you remember, Facebook back in its day opened up around $40-$45 as an IPO, sold off hard to about, I think it was $30, and then has just basically been north ever since. There's no rush to jump into an IPO. Give it some time, let the dust settle. Prevailing heads always win. So again, I'll be keeping a close eye on the show and also with you guys on Airbnb and also how DoorDash has been going on that. Big news. And finally, the FTC states file antitrust lawsuits against Facebook. Well, here I am on Facebook Live. Thankfully, it's not my problem right now. I'm using the technology to get to you guys as well. But I've seen a lot of this clampdowns. I've seen this with the FTC. They're always looking for something on this as well. So I'm sure everything will come out good in the end on that. And again, is it going to be a major factor? Well, it's not actually stopped the NASDAQ going up by 32 handles today as well. So nothing really to be too concerned about in that respect on here. Looking at the markets, have a quick look at the markets on the day as well today. I always like to kind of have a look at, and then I'll be bringing in obviously my guest to take a look at this, just so you can get a little bit of a feel of the major markets. Let's go and do actually a quick screen share on here as well. And we're going to be coming over and looking at more of the charts as well. So let's go and take a look at some charts and just see right now as we do a little bit of screen sharing on here. Again, we can see we had a real strong monthly close. Looking at the S&P 500 right now, my favorite market to get a good gauge of the markets on overall is always going to be the S&P 500. We can see here your S&P basically trading at 367 on the ETF right now. We had a good, strong monthly close. I got to say, looking at the prices that we see on here right now, we closed, let's look at the specifics. Last month, we closed at 362.06. Previous highs that we were looking to take it were 358.75, so about $4 off those highs. And while I'm seeing consistently high closes like that, it is a little bit bullish. I gotta say though, you know, at the end of the day, when there's nothing to stop this thing going higher, I see $400 on the cards. I still haven't seen anything really coming in and stopping this market pushing higher. Not to be unexpected, though, one of the things I am seeing at the moment, particularly yesterday, we did see a pretty decent sell-off in some of the markets that really took a few people by storm. We had a pretty strong down day on the market yesterday. Big red candle you can see on the price. But again, how concerned are we? How concerned really are we right now? Again, this is an important price level, I'd say. This $365 area. This week, if we managed to hold prices, I would say around this $365 area, I would not be surprised to see prices pushing higher on that particular day as well. 365 is definitely the area in question I'll be looking at right now. With that 365 area, if that holds, I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, retest of the highs for this week as well, and maybe holding higher. Love to see how their weekly closes. That's a big thing I like to look at, is the weekly closes, the monthly closes. But right now, we have been closing bullish. Right now, the trend to me is still strong to the upside on here. No massive cause of concern. I think it was expected to see a little bit of a sell-off on that. Let's also, while we're on the subject of these particular charts right now, let's go look at the QQQ together as well. One of my favorite markets to be looking at, particularly on the options. Sharp sell-off on the day. Look, take a look at the weekly chart. This is what I'm talking about right now. You know, seeing on the weekly charts right now, okay, lot of selling pressure in the $290, $300 mark, absorbed heavily, and then all price did was pull back into a good new support area around this all-important 260, 265, and we've pushed higher again. You know, at the end of the day, when markets make new highs, there's always going to be the cautious investors who are going to pull a little bit of money out. And they're going to say, hey, you know what? I want to take a little bit of profit on here. It's to be expected. When a market's making new highs, it's common to see a little bit of a pullback before we get the next leg on the trend as well, because people have to take profit taking as well, you know, get some profit taking in there. Again, while we get good control, good closes on here, unless we take out, I would say, this key area of around 265, I have no real concern on this market at the moment. Again, I'd love to get it lower. I'd love to be looking around the 235 mark for a longer term buy on that, but we may not just get it. Wouldn't surprise me to see a kind of gentle kind of rollout on the rest of the week at the moment across these markets on there as well. A little bit of indecision. We're seeing it today as well. Nice little bounce back. Again, though, on the daily charts, they give us a nice little perspective. Real key area, again, just for all of you here, $300. You got to eyeball that right now. That is the near-term price. That is the line in the sand as well. Easy opportunity, I think, for this market to push to the upside on here. If we can't at least get back to 305, then yeah, I would expect a little bit more downside on this market to here. But again, no real cause of concerns to make me think that this market is done right now as well, especially coming into the end of the year. Are we going to see another Santa Claus rally? A strong finish to a rough year. Wouldn't surprise me to see that. But I'm looking at these on the slightly longer term picture right now, guys. And again, you know, we can look at this long term. We can look at this short term. There's all different ways for us to be looking at the market. And one of the things that I've noticed in the press, and I've always known this, but one of the things that I've definitely noticed on these markets as of late is, you know, this big focus this year on day trading. What is day trading? What is the attraction to day trading? I was reading a report, and if I can bring this up, I'd love to show everybody on here as well. This is really what kind of got me thinking about the today, actually, for the topic of today's show. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you right now. This was actually a piece that I was reading just a couple of days ago, published on December 8th. Here, published on December 8th. This news piece right here. Okay, a report about a day trader, a trader who thought day trading would be a thrill and ended up losing $127,000. Okay, and that's just one of many horror stories I've seen on here as well. I've been teaching for over a decade been involved in the markets for coming up to my 18th year, and having taught many people over the years, I've seen this. Thankfully, I've never seen any of my students have kind of drawdowns like that, but it's very easy to do. What happens? Things like, what is firstly the attraction to it? How then does something like that happen? This is what I thought would be a really good topic of discussion on today's show. And rather than me just talk about it all on my own, I thought it'd be really good to bring, a colleague of mine in, a friend of mine, somebody I've had the opportunity to work with over the years, and spend a lot of time, kind of has become a friend of mine who we've talked to as well. I'm going to ask him to kind of bring himself in. Graham Spruce is actually going to be joining us here. I've asked him to unmute and come on the camera. There he is, Graham. Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully I can hear you. Let's do a quick audio visual. I can see you visually. Can I hear you as well? You coming through?
Hopefully you can hear me, my friend. All good.
I got you there. Excellent. Welcome to Take Stock Live, Graham. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, where are you right now?
I'm in sunny Essex, in a little place called Leigh-on-Sea. Well, it's not so sunny. It's pitch black. It's cold. It's just started to rain. It's typical London weather.
Yeah, it's about 5. What is it? 5:20 there, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, about 5:20. Yeah, so you're not missing much, my friend.
I've known Graham for many years as well. Graham and I go back probably almost 10 years and so on as well. Graham, at the moment, you've been a trader involved in the markets, I think, for what, close to 10 years now?
Yeah, I started my education around about 10 years ago. I actually started looking at trading back in 2008. That was my first interest, was in 2008, and that was I don't know, it's probably my downfall really. What I did was I wanted to do something different, and I was fed up with work, and I wanted a completely different career change. I thought, well, this trading thing sounds pretty good. So I thought I'd get into it, and I thought, this could be my new career, So I went out and did what most people do, did a bit of research, bought a couple of trading books, and started clicking buttons. And that was really my downfall, because I started at a really bad time, because what I didn't realize was it was the beginning of the financial crisis. So I had no idea.
Oh, I'm getting a bit of feedback on there. Sorry. Just so I might have to turn you on mute. There you go. Did you get any, did you even have a concept of, you say you started around the financial crisis, right? So that was 2008. Yeah. Did you even know what short selling was? I mean, probably a lot of people may be looking at the show right now don't know what. Did you even know about that? Or were you just, hey, I want to buy stuff?
No, and this is the crazy thing. When I look back on it now, I was so naive to the markets, how they worked, anything like that. It was just a case of my strategy and my plan after reading a couple of trading books was, well, I'll just go in and I'll just buy some shares, because the price is going to go up, right? Because that's what stocks do. Prices just go up. So me and my infinite wisdom, I was there on a trading platform. I opened up an account and I didn't even use a price chart. This was the crazy thing. One of my first trades that I ever took was just, I looked at the price of something and I thought, oh, it looks a bit cheaper than what it was yesterday. So I think I'll buy it. And I did. And that was, such a big mistake in my part, because not only did I not know what I was doing, but I didn't know anything about risk management, how to handle my risk. And like I said, I got into the markets in the beginning of the financial crisis. So the markets were just going down, and they went down for a whole year. And I'm sitting there scratching my head thinking, this is a bit harder than what I thought it was going to be. I wasn't expecting it to be this difficult. So yeah, my first experience was a tough one, because I didn't have any real knowledge about what I was doing, and it can be a dangerous thing. And I think this is the kind of the topic of today of what we're talking about, is people getting into day trading, not really understanding the pitfalls and how day trading is kind of really portrayed as well. Yeah. It's portrayed as this easy kind of thing to be able to do, and it can be pretty dangerous, as you've just seen. $127,000 worth of losses is I wouldn't call that easy.
Exactly. What I was going to say to you was, on this, I was going to ask you about this. When you first started, what was your idea? Were you attracted to just potentially profiting from the market, or was there a thing of like, hey, did you have an idea of, hey, I want to set up I want to buy some stocks and invest on a more regular basis, like every week? Did it start like that? Because obviously you wanted to generate extra income. We know why most people do this, but was it you had the idea of, hey, I'd like to go in and out and make money quickly, or did you kind of evolve and change? Because you try. Would you? I guess the thing is, what attracted you about it? Because I know you class yourself as a day trader right now, but I want to explore this with you. You class yourself as a trader, but I don't think you're probably the kind of day trader that now that most people make that common association with. So I guess let's make this easy for you. You know, were you attracted to the idea of day-to-day trading, and what was your idea of it?
Yeah, I was so attracted to the possibility of being able to come to the markets and just make that instant money. The fact that you could open a position, close a position, that money's in your account, it's instant. There's no waiting to get paid, all that kind of stuff. That was a real instant attraction for me, and that was something that and as soon as you start doing, you think, God, I could do this every single day, and if I could just earn £200-300 a day, £400, and all these numbers kind of go around your head, and that's what kind of, I think that's what lured me into it, of thinking it was pretty simple and pretty straightforward. And it's kind of, that's how I started my journey, just wanting to, I wasn't really interested in doing kind of longer term stuff. It was all about that kind of, I think it was more instant kind of gratification than anything else. That kind of wanting to be right, wanting to make money, and just being able to kind of tell everybody that's what I could do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a funny take on it from my point of view.
So let me share with you, I think it'd be useful for everybody on the call here as well. I guess I was the same. I like the idea of going in. I'll be honest with you, my whole idea was go in, make a little bit of money, get out, and have like a 10-minute day if I could. I mean, that was what I liked the idea of. I then found out that, you know, it's not quite as easy as it seems. There are people out there. I mean, you hear a lot about scalping, you know, get in, get out. The market moves and fluctuates. I mean, look, while we're on the line, let's just wait. And again, I don't make the assumption that the viewers of this show, the listeners to this show, not everybody's necessarily got the same amount of you know, experience that maybe we do, right? And you know, things happen. But let's just go and take a little look on here. And I'm going to actually go and pull up a chart. Maybe you can see this. I'm broadcasting my charts right now. Take a look at this, what you're seeing on here. Like, actually, if I just look at this, everybody, you know, this is the current price right now that you're seeing in yellow of the Dow Jones. It's relatively quiet right now, okay? Not a whole lot moving. But you can also see on the left-hand side these price charts moving in real time as well. So we've had a movement between 30.60 and 29.40, you know, just about in the last 15 minutes, up, down, sideways. Every one of these fluctuations that we see here is an opportunity to potentially make money, but also an opportunity to potentially lose money. With the right sizing, you know, literally a move from here to here, or a move from here to here could be worth $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. It can be worth as little as $20, depending on your position size. Yeah. I would class that as scalping. You could be in it for 30 seconds, out and close. It seems easy. Well, I'll just catch it. It goes up a bit. I'll sell it. How easy did you actually find that? I mean, you know, because I looked at it and I was like, yeah, give me a piece of that. All I need is a little bit of movement. And then I kind of found, I would say, you know, a slightly different story as well. My experience was this isn't as easy as it first seemed. What was yours like, Graham?
It was exactly the same. And I think as traders, when we first started out, I was kind of, I want to be in and out of the market really quick. So my thought process was like, well, let's use the smallest time frame chart possible to be able to do that. And not only can I get in quick, I can get out quick, but I can also kind of have smaller zones to trade from. So my risk would be smaller. So I actually started trading from a 30-second chart.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. And I don't know if you've ever looked at a 30-second chart of something like the S&P when it opens. Wow, that thing moves. And all I had was the one chart on the screen, and I knew what I was looking for in terms of the trades I wanted to take. I mean, I'd see the market moving higher, so I'd try and get in on a pullback on it. But because I was just looking at that one time frame chart, I had no idea of context of where I was trading. So every time I got into a trade and I was waiting for the market to pull back and get me into the trade, it would kind of get me in, I'd get stopped out, the market would completely reverse the other way. And I was thinking, but it's just been going up for the last 5 minutes. How can it now start to be going down for the next 10 minutes? I'd constantly be kind of taking the wrong side of the market, because later on did I find out that I had no idea of context where I was actually getting involved in the market, because I was concentrating on just one price chart. And that was probably the biggest downfall for me, not only trading from really small charts and being in and out of the market very quickly and taking lots and lots of trades like all day long. I just wasn't getting anywhere, and I was kind of finding myself on the wrong side of the market probably 90% of the time. And I think that's a common problem for a lot of people, when they kind of get stuck down that kind of rabbit hole of trading really small time frame charts without having the idea and the context of where they should be trading and what they should be doing.
How important is it to have, like, How important is it to have like rules as well, Graham? I mean, to control yourself, because you can't control the market. But I mean, how much would you say of your current methodology, is more about, how much would you say you go on like gut instinct and experience versus, process and probability?
It's all about process, structure and process for me. And don't get me wrong, you do get a gut feeling for the markets after looking at the markets for such a long time. You do get an instinct. You do build that kind of instinct. But to begin with, it's all about having a plan, a structure, a process, knowing what you're doing, when you're doing it, and the fact that you don't have to be involved in the markets all the time. Or we're going back to how I used to trade. It was like, as a day trader, I had to be active. I had to be doing something. And if I didn't have a trade that day, I'd be like, oh, God, I must be doing something wrong. I must be doing something. Then I'd start chasing and making mistakes. So, yeah, it's all about the process. And the more you have a structure and a process to what you do, the more you can then gain kind of consistency in what you do. And you can see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And having that process really keeps you out of areas where you shouldn't be trading as well. And that's what I love about what we do. It's about understanding the context and what we call StockAbility location analysis, which is, it's something that you very first spoke about, when I first met you 10 years ago, and it kind of really opened my eyes to kind of understanding how to look at markets in different fractal forms, different time frames, and look at the bigger picture and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's all, for me, process, plan, and discipline and patience. And being a day trader, you have to be patient, and being able to sit on your hands, I think, is probably one of the hardest things to do, right? To wait for an opportunity to come to you that where you want to get in. It's very easy to chase the market because you're desperate to get in, but if you're patient and you wait for the right trades to come in the right areas, you tend to have a lot more luck with things, for sure.
Let me ask you this. What would you, I hear one of the buzzwords I see a lot out there today is FOMO, or it's like an acronym even, FOMO, fear of missing out. How much is is fear of missing out? For me anyway, I can say one of my biggest hurdles over the years was jumping the gun and jumping into things when I started to see something move. Even though I had a plan to know when to buy it, I'd be jumping into it early because of fear of missing out, really like overwhelming sense of it. Is that something that you've experienced yourself? Do you think it's a common hurdle for most people who want to trade on a shorter time frame?
I think it is a common problem with a lot of people. For me, it wasn't that case at all. I wasn't. It wasn't the fear of missing out. It was, I don't know. It's a funny thing, really, because, like I say, you want to be involved and you have all these great ideas about what you want to do. You have a structure and a plan, but like when you see the market take off without you, it's very easy to jump in and kind of violate your rules and stuff like that. For me, I've never really been like that. I've been a bit more patient with it. I've never really suffered from the whole kind of FOMO thing, but it is something that's out there, and I know a lot of people do find themselves doing it, and that can be a big downfall to a day trader's account, is by jumping the gun, and then you make the mistakes, and then you look back at it at the end of the day, you've done a mistake, you've jumped in, but you try not to do it the next day. But then what happens is the next day it happens again and again and again, and it can become like you end up going into that rabbit hole. So yeah, it's a big thing, FOMO. But at the end of the day, now if I miss an opportunity, I'm okay with it. For me, the market's going to be there tomorrow. There are always opportunities. I'm okay. If I miss an entry, I have ways of being able to get in that entry if I miss it, off of a smaller time frame chart. Because don't get me wrong, I have nothing against small time frame charts. They just have to be used at the right time. So for me, that's how I go about things.
All right. So follow-up question to that. What made you okay with it? What's made you okay with it now? What could you put that down to?
I think experience of doing it for such a long time now, of knowing that, there are waiting for the best opportunities, just pay you the best results. They really do. Waiting for those good entries, and it can be hard to sit there for 30 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours of the market already open, and you're not actually taking a trade. And I've tend to find the more I've done this, that some of the best opportunities for me come later in the day. They don't actually happen like right at the beginning of the day. It's some great opportunities happen sort of towards the last couple of hours of the day as well. So the fact that you haven't got in a trade in the first couple of hours, is it a big deal? No, it's okay, because I know that just by looking at the markets and how they work, that you do get other opportunities during the day, and later on in the day. So it's not all about trading that first 30, 40 minutes, an hour. Other opportunities do come along. So I'm not worried about it. That's what kind of makes me okay with it. Because I know there's always going to be another opportunity. If not later today, then there'll always be one tomorrow.
So I think we can agree then FOMO is a big thing. Overcoming that is a
Yeah.
big thing as well. Let's talk about one other thing as well. What about then? There's a lot of news that comes out on a day-to-day basis as well.
Mm-hmm.
Any advice that you would give anybody who's got really interested in day trading? You know, how do you have to be abreast of all of the news stories? You know, changing your opinion. You know, well, how do you deal with something like that on a day-to-day basis, Graham?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a world full of news, aren't we? There's every hour there's something new coming out. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, we can't control the news. We don't know when it's going to come out. We don't know how it's going to affect the markets. All we can do is make sure we're trading in a safe way. Risk management is so key and so important. And a big thing in part of my trading is as you said before, it's kind of getting into the market, getting safe, and then waiting to hit your profit target. So I'm quite aggressive on my profit taking on my first targets, because I want to be in and I want to be out, because we know that at any time a piece of news can come out, and it can, we've seen it with Trump tweets, for instance.
Yeah.
You can see how much they move the markets. We don't know if markets do move erratically. So for my style of trading, I like to get in and get out, get safe as quick as possible, because I don't pay too much attention to the news, but I am aware that news can come out and it can just make these big fluctuations in the market. So I just want to make sure I protect myself, not only from my risk side, but getting safe on the trade.
You said on there about getting safe. Okay. So to me, it seems like a priority to you is safety, right, over making money. Would that be a fair assumption to make?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with day trading and the way the markets move, it's kind of, if I can get in and I can take that risk out of the trade to begin with, it allows me to hold on for my profit targets, because my biggest downfall is not holding on for profit targets. So if I can take my risk out of the trade early, or take a portion of my position off, say half the position off, I know that I'm in the trade. And if it comes back against me, I get clipped on the trade, I get taken out, I've come out of break even, minus commissions and stuff. It's not too bad. And it makes me feel more comfortable to know that, okay, I can walk away from the screen and just let it do its thing. And just by trading that way, that's basically what works for me. And I think this is a journey that everyone has to go on. We're all different as individuals. We all trade slightly different. We all have different personalities. Some people are quite happy just getting in the trade and just letting it run and not worrying about the market coming back, stopping them out. We're all different. So you kind of have to go on that journey. It's like a journey of self-discovery, really, to kind of really understand the trader you're going to be, because everyone can day trade differently. Everyone has different risk parameters, and some people are aggressive, some people are conservative in their trading. What suits you is something you have to find out, and that just kind of comes through experience and doing it for a while to figure out what suits you and your trading style.
While we're on that subject, let's take a look at that. You're saying about finding your style. I'm going to go just share the screen up here and just take a look at the live coaching community here at StockAbility, and just looking at some of the results from today. Trades being posted, ideas being posted on here, and so on, and about finding their way. I love it when I see things like this. One of the traders here as well. Got a nice trade up there with a cumulative profit of $246 on the trade there as well. Adding up quite nicely. The time posted on that quite early in the day as well. Targets all set. I love to see that as well, just nice process being, kind of driven home in that as well. And then on another side, you got another trader here, on a trade as well. Just coming into the position on here, up, on this hit $632 on here. I guess there's a lot of opportunity to make. There's also a lot of opportunity to lose as well. But what I'm seeing here is a lot of planning, a lot of kind of process, which I really, really like. Planning and process, Graham. I mean, I guess it's what we talked about on there. Do you have a set goal when you trade? Do you find, or you like, hey man, I'm in, let's see how long this bad boy goes? Because I get the feeling, and we talked over the years now, you've changed about, I can speak for myself. I kind of tend to play the market as I find it, right? If the market's only offering me a short profit, I take the short profit. If the market's giving me a signal, it's got more, I'll go for more. I don't really have a target anymore. I guess I'm at a different stage in my career where I just go and I'm more of an opportunist. I'm waiting, for that right opportunity. Is it a good idea to have a daily target? a weekly target, a monthly target, to stop when you're up, to carry on? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Graham.
Yeah, I toyed around with that for a while, of trying to have a daily goal. And I know a lot of people try and do it, which is fine. But for me, having a daily goal kind of put a bit too much pressure on me to make money because, say, for instance, on the Monday, I'd have a losing trade. I don't know, say I was down a couple of $100, and that was on the Monday. Then the Tuesday come along and I didn't have a trade, or I missed a trade. I didn't take anything at all. And by the time it come to Wednesday, I'm thinking, God, I had a loss on the Monday. I didn't take a trade on the Tuesday. If I had a goal of maybe $200 a day, or $1,000 a week, by the Wednesday, I'm thinking, God, I've got to make up like 600 today to get to where I'm going. And then I find myself pushing trades and maybe violating my rules and my plan, and it get a bit erratic for me. So having a daily goal doesn't work for me. I've kind of found it better in my trading over the years to get into the trades, have your profit targets set, mechanical profit targets. I'm happy to get in, to get out, take my profits. That's all good. But I will also look for what I call runner trades. So I'm looking for like longer moves, and I'll only do that in certain situations. If the charts are telling me, look, we're in good areas here on the big time frame charts and the outlook charts, there's potential for this market to go a lot higher, then it's worth leaving a little piece out there to run, because they can really make up your month. But it's about understanding where you are on the chart, the context of where you're trading. Is the chart allowing you to take those bigger profit targets? If they are, go from great. If we're in a choppy market and it's a bit tight, I'm happy to get in the market, get out, make your money, move on to the next day. As simple as that. So for me, I always kind of struggled with having a target, because it kind of put a bit too much pressure on me to make sure I was trading every day. And the biggest thing for me was to not have to worry about trading every day, but to be precise in my interest and just pick the right interest. So yeah, that was my take. Anyway, didn't work for me.
It's very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. We've got a few viewers on the line. I had some comments on here, and then I got a definite follow-up question on that as well. Melanie Katsaurus saying hi, as well. Louise Fox there. Good shout out to you. Javier Joe, watching from the UK. Interesting discussion you got there. Brilliant. Bob Pellegrin wanted to come and check you out on here, Graham. Brian Hanover joining us from Dubai as well, saying it does put a lot of pressure on. He'd never thought of that in that particular way as well.
Yeah.
This with the viewers and everybody looking at the show right now and watching this, something that's really niggled me over the years. And when I put this show together, I was like, you know what? It's about just calling it as it is. I always talk about this ideal view of the world of trading and investing, this ideal view, that's really kind of warped away from reality. You hear things about trades must be all 3-to-1s. You hear they must be 5-to-1s. And the more I find, and the more traders I've worked with over the years who have found their own way say, well, I don't always take those trades. Sometimes I'll have a trade that's only a 2-to-1. What's up, Lorenzo Lopez? I hear different things, and I'm finding the more successful, consistent, speculators I meet have found their own way. What's always kind of niggled me over the years is when there's somebody out there on the internet saying, I have a winning strategy. I'm going to share this. You can buy this strategy from me. And then people come into this thinking, well, great, I'm just going to do what that guy or girl tells me to do, and I'm going to make more money than I know what to do with. And their experience is inevitably the same. They don't. And then they start saying to the person, well, you don't know what you're doing. And here's the thing I'd like to go on the record saying. There are genuine people out there, genuine educators, out there who have great, and I'm not questioning their ability to win. I'm not questioning the success of their strategy. What I'm questioning is it really as simple as taking a winning strategy that works for an individual to then give it to another individual and expect that individual is now just going to be successful? Because I've done it. I've trained under master traders and successful traders, and I've taken what they've given me and I've just not made it. Maybe I didn't like their risk management. Maybe I didn't like their hands-off approach. Maybe I'm a little bit more of a control freak and I want to be more aggressive. My point is this: I've always come from the thought of you've got to train somebody, an investor or a trader, to be the best version of themselves. They need a framework. Look at it like this. Let's use the analogy of football. And I'm talking football, soccer here, Graham, because there's two Brits on the call right now, okay? Okay, because I call football, NFL football now. So, I live here, we're in Rome, right? But let's talk about soccer for a second here, okay? Soccer's played a certain way. 11 men on each team. There's a goal one and there's a goal the other way. And there's offside rules. There's kickoff. There's 90 minutes. You get it, right? There's defensive, midfield, attack. But, everyone needs to know how the game's played. They need to know the structure of the game. But once they know how to play the game, then they learn what they're really good at. And they have their own rules, their own strategy. To me, successful investing is just that. You have to learn how to play the game. You have to learn how to, navigate the field the right way and understand the game. To me, a good player understands the game, but then they realize what they're good at within the game as well. And I've always felt that a trader needs to learn the game and then needs to find their position in the game as well.
Absolutely.
About you, Graham, what's your experience like? Have you tried that thing of, hey, I'm going to just try this strategy? I mean, I'd love to ask you if you've done it too. I'd like to just try this strategy and see how it all works out, and then go from there. And then how much of it did you have to make it your own?
Yeah, so much of this is such a personal journey for each and every person. A typical example, look at Richard Dennis and the turtle traders. He gave a strategy to like 10 people, and they all had to follow the strategy exactly the same. And 2 or 3 of them made it, the others didn't. Well, they were all doing exactly the same thing, but it was some people couldn't follow rules. It wasn't their style of trading. It didn't feel good to them. So it becomes very, very personal. So once you've got that basic core foundation of what you should be doing, and there is that basic foundation when it comes to day trading of what you should be doing, where you should be trading. Okay, location, and then as a trader, it's about you developing and making it your own. As we go through the income abilities class that we get taught here at StockAbility, it's kind of, there is the process. This is what it is, okay? But it's really down to each individual to figure out what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And again, I think it all comes down to your personality. If your personality is such a big thing, is you're going to be an aggressive trader? Are you going to be a conservative trader? Are you going to manage your risk differently? Are you going to go for bigger profit targets? Or do you want to be more active and take more trades? It's a very personal thing that works for you. And that's where that experience and that whole learning journey of becoming a trader happens. It's not going to happen in a couple of weeks. You have to try things out and see what works for you. You journal your results. You look back on your results over the course of a month and you go, okay, maybe I could change this. Maybe I should try doing this. And you adapt. You slowly adapt. You don't come away from the core basics of what you should be doing. You're just adapting it to suit you, your style, and how you feel comfortable trading. Because at the end of the day, you have to feel comfortable in how you trade. And that's a very different thing between lots of different people. So once you've got those core basics, you can then build on it and work on it from there, for sure.
Well, to me, you definitely sound like you've put the work in. So, and that's a good thing. One final question on this subject, Graham, and then I'd love to kind of look at some charts with you. Your call, my put, really good on that. Or maybe it'll be my put, your call. We'll see how that works out in just a sec. But one final thing on this. I think that, at the end of the day, there's opportunity for everybody. One of the things I get, as I've taught people over the years, like, I've been on the internet and there's this person on here and they've got this strategy and they're showing me all their results and they want to teach me this strategy. It's going to cost me X. And, and they're guaranteeing this. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, what do you guarantee to me? And I always say, well, I guarantee nothing to you. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I will give you no guarantee that you'll be successful. I give you no guarantee you're going to make this work. I give you no guarantee on the effectiveness of anything I'm going to teach you. And they look at me like, well, why? I said, well, if anybody could give you a guarantee, I said, then I'm sorry, they're a liar, because, I've seen this. There are no guarantees in life. I mean, here's the thing. If there were systems out there that were guaranteed success, then everybody would be doing that. Exactly. Right? I mean, it really would. It's like, Goldman Sachs make more money than they know what to do with, yet it doesn't mean they're successful all the time. You can go and look at their public results online right now. They lose, right? There's a multiple factors of it. So, for me, I've always turned around and said, if I gave you any guarantees on the success that you're going to have, you should probably just turn around and walk away and never come near me again. Do you think that, for me, I found, and this is the final thing, I found a big acceptance in my own journey was realizing that there were no guarantees. And while, I could be guided and taught, I had to be accountable for my own actions as well, because I can tell you now, man. I've had days where I've looked at myself and I'm like, wow, I chose not to follow my plan, and I don't know why. Even you get the emotions getting
Yeah,
your way, and I think with day trading, you're set up for that more because it's happening faster and so on as well.
absolutely.
When did
Yeah.
you have that realization, and what would you say to anybody now who's seriously considering learning how to do this and looking for that magic answer, that guarantee, and that promise of success? What advice would you give them, Graham?
Stop looking for it. Stop looking for that thing that's going to give you guaranteed success. I mean, it's funny. We all want something. We all want something to happen really quickly, don't we? We want to try something. We want to do it. We want to make a success of it really quickly. These things take time. There are no guarantees in anything you do. As long as you have the right education and a structured process to what you do, and you're willing to work at it and put the time in and put the effort, then you can make this work. Absolutely. There is no guarantees in anything in the market. The markets are completely random in how they work. You can't guarantee you're going to make money every single day. It's just not going to happen. It's a random distribution, right, between wins and losses. You don't know when the next win's going to come. You don't know when the next loss is going to come from. You have to just take it on the chin and just you roll with the punches. Process is key, and if anyone does promise you guarantees and stuff like that, I'd be the first one kind of out the door. There is no guarantees to any of this, and so much of it is down to you, the individual, and how much you want it and how much you want to work for it. And putting the time in, put the time and the effort in. That's a crazy thing. No one wants to put time and effort into anything anymore.
They all like. I found in this business, everyone likes the idea of it, but doesn't like the reality of it. And
yeah, it's instant gratification. You see it. Perception versus reality is very different when it comes to day trading, especially when you look at social media accounts. You see people on YouTube and Instagram promoting how wonderful this day trading is and Robinhood and all this kind of stuff, and it's how easy it is. Well, it's just nothing like that. If you ask a real trader what it's like, he'll just shake his head and go, I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't not have the first clue what they're talking about.
I've actually found a lot of those kind of YouTube gurus, as I call them, with their channels. People go and do your research. They got 100,000 followers, but the reason they got 100,000 followers, they're spouting all this stuff, and it's free education, and they're actually not getting paid from being successful in the market. They're getting paid by YouTube for advertising.
Yeah,
that's what you got. That's what you got. And it frustrates me a little bit, because I think when there's great educators out there, like on the StockAbility team, Brian Watkins, Daniel Bustamante and stuff, and I see some incredible educators outside of it around the world who I've worked with over the years, Todd Davis, Scott McCormick, Ed Ponce. There's some great educators out there, and you mentioned it, yourself, Richard Dennis, always, it takes away from them, because it's just like someone comes in and just kind of, pretends that, they understand. But that's the nature of the game. This is the social media world we live in. And as much as I hate it, I love it, because it gives me the opportunity to do shows like this and reach people and talk about these concepts. And it's always good. And to final point on this, and we've gone a little bit longer than anticipated, but when you have a good show, this happens. So thank you for this, Graham. Lovely question from Brian Hannaford here. I got your analogy about being a top football player. I'm not very athletic. Can you achieve being in the middle, or does it take real dedication? I'd love to answer that. I think that you set your own goals. I worked with a wonderful trader for many years, who sadly is passed this year, makes me John Henkel. And I like to say John Henkel, sad loss this year. A good friend of mine who I work with, who used to be a trader, on the Chicago Board of Options, the CBOE, and retired from it, and then helped many other people come through the ranks on trading. It's, and if anybody's listening, John as well, what a great loss it is. Great man. I hope you're at peace, my friend. But John always said to me, I met people down on the floor who literally just went to the floor every day and just went to earn their living. They had a size, they traded a size, like maybe like 10 contracts was their maximum, or they couldn't trade more than 2,000 shares in a position. And then there were other guys who would be throwing around 100, 200, 300,000 shares at a time. It came down to what worked for them. So, and it's back to that psychology side of it, and I think that the people I've trained over the years, they have thresholds of like, hey, I feel comfortable risking $50. I feel comfortable risking $30. Some guys I've got feel comfortable risking $2,000 on a trade. Exactly. It's where you're at. So I think that the middle ground, the market doesn't judge. The market doesn't, dictate to us what size we need to trade, or what size we need to do, right, Graham? And then I always think about, Again, anyone who's listening in the UK will remember Alan Shearer, former England captain, had a great run at Blackburn, won the championship with Blackburn Rovers, went over to a high profile transfer over to Newcastle United, England captain, one of the highest scoring, England football international players. If you want to look at a guy like that, raw talent, not really. Dedication, hard work, practice. That's what he put it down to. And I always look at the Alan Shearer. I got a lot of respect for Alan Shearer, Was he the greatest natural foot? Was he a Ronaldo? Was he a Pele? Was he even a David Beckham? Say what you want about David Beckham, but man, that guy can put a ball where it needs to go. That's a raw talent. You look at a Tom Brady. That's a raw talent. To be able to throw a ball that way. Some sports people have that. Okay, yeah. Alan Shearer to me, and he'll say himself, it's all about practice, dedication, working your way out the ranks. And what did he achieve? He's one of the most successful captains in English football history ever. So I'm happy being Alan Shearer. I'm happy being, whatever it needs to be. I think the answer to mine, and then finally, I'd love to put it over to you, Graham, is to me, it's always been, if you want to put the time and the effort in, there's no natural skill level that's required to do this. You don't have to be an expert musician. You don't have to have an eye for color. You don't have to have a great sense of leadership. You have to be able to follow a set of rules. Would you agree with that, Graham?
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, we're all human beings. We violate rules. I've done it loads of times. I could write a book on it. Having a structure, a process, a plan. And I think day trading now has become more accessible to people, and it's easier for people now to kind of get into as well, because we can trade such great products like the micro contracts through the stock indexes. Whereas before, going back to when I first started day trading, you didn't have that flexibility. You had to trade full size contracts. And if you're trading a 4-point zone on the S&P 500, one contract was going to cost you $200. You could take the same trade now with one micro and it costs you $20. So being able to learn now, I think, is a lot easier as well, because you've got that flexibility in the products and the markets that you can trade. So yeah, but it all does come down to the discipline and the focus. At the end of the day, your biggest risk doesn't really come from the market. Your biggest risk comes from yourself and your lack of discipline. Really. Yeah. That's what it really comes down to. But with hard work and surrounding yourself with the right people as well always helps as well. Surround yourself with like-minded people, supportive people, and that's what makes this journey work. And it's all good. It's a crazy journey. It's the stock market, right? Yeah, absolutely. The biggest casino in the world.
Absolutely. Graham, that's been a great conversation. Loved it. Thank you for that. And thank you for all your comments as they're coming in as well. And again, if you're looking at this, the recording of this, this is Facebook Live. This is on Facebook Live right now. This is also going to be available to you afterwards. So you might be looking at this now, the recording. This recording can also be found on our YouTube channel. Feel free to comment, send in questions and ask as well on there. Graham, just before I let you go as well, I want to ask you about what your plans are for the rest of this year and in the new year as well, because I hear a few kind of rumbles on the rumor mill as well. Love to kind of go through our quick bit of your call, my put. I always like to give my guests an opportunity to tell me what they're bullish on or what they're bearish on, and I give the opposite to it as well. Just a big shout out to last week's guest, if you're listening, Brian Dumaresque. Had a nice call on XLE last week. Let's go take a look at that. He was bullish on XLE, Graham. And he made that call last week as well on this. So we were looking somewhere around here when it was around $38. And here we are. I believe we tested $42. So that was a $4 upside call he made last week. Good job on that. Brian Dumaresque, if you listen, we might have you on the show next week as well. He was looking for a nice little entry as the price dipped back into this kind of area of transition right now, and worked out pretty good on that. So nice call for him. Graham, you got something lined up for us? You're cool, you bullish, you're put. Where you at? What do you want me to look at today?
I'm bullish.
Bullish. The wise man these days is bullish. If it's something to do with the stock market, the wise man or wise woman is bullish. What do you want us to look at today, Graham?
Well, we're going to go to Forex pair today, actually, and it's going to be the Euro New Zealand.
Euro New Zealand. Now, someone might look at this for the first time, might turn around at me and go, what do I know about the European and New Zealand social economic principles? I turn around and say, don't worry yourself about
Absolutely nothing.
What you feeling on here, Graham? I got yourself a monthly, daily, weekly. What you thinking about? What's your kind of outlook on this?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of looking at it from a monthly stance, from that monthly time frame. We're coming down and we're kind of sitting in this really nice support area at the moment. So we started to see a little bit of a push to the upside. I'm not convinced this is the turn yet. I'm actually waiting for it to actually fall a little bit lower. So we're in a good area of support on that monthly chart, coming back into areas where we were back in, the beginning of 2020. We have a nice move on the monthly chart, a nice clear uptrend there. And just basically waiting for a pullback, but trying to make my entry a little bit deeper. So I'm kind of sitting around the 168.50s for an entry. I've got a couple of little entries down here, so I want to try and build into this position, because I think there's potential for a decent 800 pip move to the upside on this one. And what I kind of like about this is it's a currency pair that moves. If you look at the weekly ATR on that, sitting at around 276. So there's potential for this trade to move. So it's not going to happen just yet. I think we may have to wait maybe a week or so, or a little bit more. But again, it's that whole game of being patient, right?
I always say, if it's a good area as well, you'll have, if it's a good area, you're going to typically have a couple of bites of the cherry, I think, as well with these ones. I can see what you're going. Definitely a lot of big buying activity coming in this area as well. Got to look at that round number, about 1.8 as well. To me, I'd say this is definitely a kind of a longer term play, maybe like rolling into the new year as well. I mean, I'd expect at least a couple of months on this, but definitely something to add to the portfolio, right?
Absolutely. It's a nice little play, hopefully.
Lovely. All right, great. So I guess it's over to me then. So if you're bullish on the Forex pair, Euro New Zealand on that one as well. I always get given the bearish plays. It seems to be it seems to be the thing. So I'm going to kind of go on here. I'm going to maybe pin the tail on the donkey a little bit here and kind of have a little whiz through some of the index markets while we're here. We don't normally do this and give you some outlook on this. It's hard with your FANG stocks on here. I mean, really, really difficult, to see on this as well. I'm going out there at the moment right now. Again, I want to kind of go on to something a little bit. Let's even take a look on here. Let me just scroll up on this and take a look. I got to say, for me, I'm going to go on treasuries. In fact, make life easier. I've got the treasuries on here. I've got the 10-year note futures. That's TY on here. This is the 10-year treasury note futures right now. Also, if you're looking for it as a stock alternative, you can be going and looking at the ETF TLT. Let's bring up TLT on here. Got to say, Graham, I mean, for me, and again, I would say an options play on this, outright on this, but I am looking at this on a monthly chart right now, and all I see is a gaping wide chasm underneath me that we are just desperate to break for more downside on here as well. And again, if we are going to see a continued push and a bit of that Santa Claus rally going on in the stock market, that indeed will put more pressure on the downside, likely from a fundamental perspective as well. Wouldn't you agree on that? But again, you don't have to agree with me. You can tell me, I'm just looking at downside on that, man.
Yeah, looking at that monthly chart, I mean, everything, those wicks down there, it looks like it's got a nice run down to the 140. So I couldn't agree with you more on that. So that would be that'd be a nice play to the downside, but then it would be a nice play to the upside from 140 as well. So yeah,
I mean, over the years, I've been accused of not being a trend trader. I'm like, I think I'm a consummate trend trader. I'm just looking about when the best time to get in the trend is. And you take a look at what we call the dynamic trend here right now, and it is very clearly in a nice downward progression. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the guy fighting that right now. So right now, I mean, look at that. There's a real nice. We're in a test area on this market right now. I was hoping for a little bit more downside on it over the last few days. We actually had this on the futures market. Let's go take a look at the futures on here. A couple of students I was working with. I give a shout out to Rob W right now, who I know was on this particular trade as well. We were looking for this, and I know he was patiently waiting. It's just hit this area here and had a little bit of a push on this. I'm still waiting for it. I know he was entering around this 138 area. Hit a first target one almost. We were looking for more downside. Again, going into the end of the week, I'm not necessarily expecting more on it. But, again, if this does manage to break through these current highs of 138, I tell you what, once we get back up to this higher area, I would be looking for a continued push. I think the indecisiveness in the stock market, is there. I'd like to see a little bit of continued pressure on this market going into the rest of the week. But even still on this area here, even if we do get a pop on this market, I'm sorry, I'm not getting in the way of what I'm seeing around this area, around 138 on these charts, and I would expect more downside on that. So that would be my call on this one. So again, hopefully someone's going to give me a chance to be bullish on something.
No chance.
So Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. We always love feedback from the students and the viewers of the show. They do love Graham when we do a little bit of analysis on the chart. So one final question for me. A little birdie tells me as well that we're looking, you've been working, with, I would say on a looser effort, working with other traders for a few months now as well. And also, I understand that you're looking to begin to do a little bit more teaching as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I may be doing a little bit more teaching.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, with what we call our GTS sessions.
Okay.
So our live trading sessions that we do at StockAbility, that we do 3 times a week. So
cool.
Yeah, being able to have the opportunity to come in to some of those sessions and give my views and opinions on the markets, and we'll walk through the things and we'll set up our trades, and we'll take a shot at that. So
cool.
Pretty excited about that.
That's good. I know you've been very active in the trading community as over the last 3-4 months as well, just helping people out, really helping out. So I think that'll be really good for you. So how do you feel about it? You looking forward to getting your wings wet on that, your feet wet in that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting, and I think you've said it as well. It kind of makes you a better trader as well. The fact that when you're going through things, it's harder for you to kind of violate and break your rules when you're sitting there and you're in front of people and you're doing it and you're doing what you got to do. It's kind of keeps you really focused, and it gives me a good opportunity to, as you say, get my wings wet and have a stab at it and see how it all goes. But I'm looking forward to it, my friend.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that, Graham. I know you'll do a great job. This has been a really useful, great discussion. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Love to get you back on the show as well. I hope you close the week out nice and bright and sunny back in the UK as well. Looking forward to getting back over there and visiting everybody as well. So thank you so much for your time on TakeStock Live today as well. Let's connect again at the end of the week and enjoy the rest of your week. Okay.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, pleasure. Take care. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Everybody, that was Graham Spruce on our show today as well, joining me to discuss basically some of the cool things, some of the journey of a trader. He's had that journey, he's done it. And I thought it'd be great to share some really insight. One of the for a subject matter, I thought that was a great one. And I could personally never ever get bored of talking about that journey that the traders have to go through. Definitely one of the subjects that we could definitely touch upon in future sessions as well. On the subject of topics, feel free at any time to reach out to us. You can leave your comments at the bottom of the Facebook broadcast right now about some of the subjects that you'd like to hear on TakeStock Live as well. And some of the things that you'd like us to discuss as well. I've had some feedback saying, hey, I want more analysis. I want more of this. Guys, we're taking TakeStock Live out to different social media channels in the new year as well. Watch out for it. Open Q&A, live trading sessions are all going to be happening as well. All you need to do is just start following us here on Facebook Live. Check us out on our YouTube channel as well, and our Instagram and Twitter accounts. Go ahead and follow us to stay up to news on that, as we're going to have more open Q&As, what we call fireside chats with our instructors, and get more and more interactive in 2021 with everybody out there who's got a passion and an interest and shares that passion and interest in the markets like we do here at TakeStock Live as well. Guys, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And again, we'll be back next Thursday at 12 Eastern on Facebook Live. To basically taking this, looking at real-time market analysis as well. And again, feel free to look at the recordings, drop us a line at any time. You are going to be able to find us on all various social media channels as well. Whatever the rest of your week has in store for you, please let it be a safe one, let it be a happy one. Stay warm, stay happy out there. My name's Sam Evans. This has been TakeStock Live, brought to you by StockAbility.com. I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.